What if I told you that right now, inside a loaf of bread on your table, inside the tangy pickle sitting in your fridge, inside a wedge of cheese that you may cut without a thought? There are invisible armies working, breathing, transforming, and crafting flavors so deep and powerful that no chef alone could ever design them. Would you believe me? Or would you laugh and shake your head at the thought that food could be alive? That it could be its own universe filled with unseen creatures pulling the strings of taste? Fermentation is that universe, a world most of us eat every single day but never truly see, because it's not just about ingredients mixing, it's about life itself, tiny lives colliding, struggling, cooperating, and building something new out of something ordinary. And the more you peel back its layers, the more you realize how little control we actually have compared to these microscopic workers that have been guiding human diets for thousands of years. Imagine a jar of cabbage turning into sauerkraut, the sharp crunch morphing into a sour bite that dances on your tongue, or soybeans transforming into miso paste, a depth of flavor that feels almost like a secret being whispered. None of that happens without microbes, without bacteria and yeasts that don't care about fame or credit, yet shape entire cuisines and even entire cultures with their unseen power. Fermentation is not chaos, though it looks like it. It's a silent symphony where each microbe knows its part, some breaking down sugars, some creating acids, and some pumping out alcohols, all layering and layering until what you bite into is no longer just food. It's a story told by life itself. And here's where it gets wild. The flavors you love most, from chocolate to coffee, from salami to sourdough, exist only because fermentation unlocked them. Oh, and without it, the world's tables would be shockingly bland, almost empty, stripped of their richness, because salt alone can preserve, heat alone can cook, but only fermentation can create magic. Think about beer. Grains in water, boring, flat, lifeless, but yeast steps in, feeds, breathes, multiplies, and suddenly you've got bubbles, aroma, and a golden liquid that has fueled celebrations for centuries. Cheese is just milk until bacteria tame it, until enzymes slice it, until time lets it bloom into textures that can crumble, melt, or stretch. And the thought that all of this is being done by life forms too small for your eyes to catch is enough to make you question who really runs the kitchen, us or them. The fascinating part is that fermentation is both control and surrender. Humans start the process, but once it begins, the microbes take over, deciding the flavor, deciding the aroma, deciding how sharp or mellow the final product will be, and every batch, no matter how carefully managed, carries its own character, its own fingerprint of microbial life that can never be perfectly replicated. That's why no two sourdough loaves taste exactly the same, even if baked side by side, because the air itself carries different strains of yeast and different bacteria, whispering their own accents into the dough. And what if I told you fermentation is not just about flavor, it's about survival, preservation, and the transformation of perishable foods into treasures that last for months, even years, keeping people alive long before refrigerators were ever imagined, making it not just a culinary trick, but one of the oldest survival tools humanity has ever leaned on. From the spicy kimchi jars buried underground in Korea, to barrels of pickles lining markets in Eastern Europe, from African fermented porridge to Amazonian cassava beer, every culture has a fermentation story, and every story tells us the same truth. Humans may think they invented recipes, but microbes have been writing them all along. The crazy part is that modern science still hasn't fully cracked the code of what's happening in these jars and barrels, because there are countless microbial strains at play, thousands interacting at once. Some we can name, some we can't. And that mystery is part of the magic, the reason each batch can surprise even the experts who dedicate their lives to studying it. Fermentation is not static. It's alive, evolving, learning, teaching us patience in a world that rushes too fast. And if you lean in close, if you taste carefully, You realize it's not just about food, but about time, about waiting, about trusting that invisible hands will do their work while we sleep. Maybe that's why biting into a tangy sourdough crust or sipping on a fizzy kombucha feels more satisfying than processed flavors ever could, because deep inside, your body recognizes the life in it, the process that connects us back to ancient kitchens and Earth itself. So next time you lift a fork of yogurt or break open a jar of pickles, don't just taste it, listen to it. Imagine the microbial orchestra that played to make that bite possible, and ask yourself this: if the most unforgettable flavors in the world come not from human invention, but from the smallest unseen lives, then who is really cooking for us? And maybe, just maybe, it's time we admit that the best chef in history is not a person at all, but a world we cannot see.